We are sitting here with Mr. Tyrone Keys, phenomenal NFL star. So, we're out here at this event preventing sex trafficking. What does that mean to you?
Well, it used to be a time when I used to come to the Super Bowl. It
Mhm.
was all about hooking up, going to the parties, and hooking up with all your former teammates. And over the last few years, the awakening of social consciousness and the spiritual consciousness of what we've been doing as a foundation. Now I come to the Super Bowls looking for uh, opportunities to increase my awareness of what's going on in the world and how I can be a part of the solution and team up with some other good athletes who are being involved in making an impact. And so coming out here today learning about this program has definitely awakened my social consciousness to something that I never knew existed here locally and especially Atlanta.
And that's really great. And I applaud you for coming and making an impact in the community. And so, speaking of Super Bowl's here in Atlanta, and you got that ring on you. Talk about it.
Oh well, I tell you one thing. This ring I keep it on, man, because it reminds me of the grind. The grind that when I had the dream in elementary school and watching my first Super Bowl, Super Bowl 50, with the New York Jets and the Baltimore Colts, and said, man, I think I'd like to play football one day. And then in the sixth grade, I'll never forget, my teacher had me do a report on the NFL draft, and that was a draft that Archie Manning, who was a big Mississippi star, and that's where I grew up in Mississippi there. And she had me do a book report on the NFL draft, and because she wanted to take me deeper. And what I learned about the NFL draft is that the draft was created to provide parity,
Mhm.
and it was so that the good teams would not always stay on top by picking the best players, but they can have the lower teams pick first. And then at the end of my career, I ended up writing a grant based on that same thing. I said, I want to go into the inner cities. I can't take on all the kids, but I can take the best kids coming out of worse conditions. And I used that same NFL draft story, and they gave us some funds for it. And that was 25 years ago. And one of the young men that came up through our program, um, he got overlooked coming out of high school. So what I would do was put together highlight films of these young guys coming out, and his name is Brad Holmes. Brad ended up going to NC A&T, historical black college, and then had a good career there. After 4 years, the draft came and gone, and he said, "Mosquito, I would love to be a scout." And so I ran into I said, "Let me make some contacts for you." And so one of the former players from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Martin Mayhew, he was working in the league at the time, and I sold him on the fact that Brad Holmes, he played offense and defensive line. I said, man, you know how hard that is to do, play both ways. And I said, man, he's dedicated. He was captain of the team, and he has that grind, that same kind of grind that it takes to get a Super Bowl ring with, because the Super Bowl ring is built on the fact that diamonds have to go through the fire.
Yeah.
And so I always was looking for young people who exhibit that will and desire to go through the fire. And fast forward 19 years later, Brad is director of college scouting
Wow.
for the Rams. He helped reconstruct their draft
Yeah.
and their 53-man roster, and he's traveling to Super Bowl 53. And he was an intern, man. There was many, many nights and days and years that he called, man. He said, man, all they got me doing is making coffee and making copiers. And then the next few years, he was, driving late night hours, scouting in Timbuktu. And now he's one step away from being a GM. And that's to me, that's what it's all about for me. And then now it's about now seeing what other people are doing and see how we can come together and build a championship team, man, on earth.
That's good. And I've seen you around this event. You let people put on your ring. I never wore a a Super Bowl. So, um, yeah. Thank you. Yes. Gotta get this. But Super Bowl 53 is this weekend, so I gotta ask you, who you got?
Well, my heart is going to be with Brad and the Rams there,
Hmm.
and just because of somebody, I, that I know personally, and out of all the kids that I came up through our program over the thousands, him being the first
Hmm.
to play in a game and then to be part of play a key role in helping build the Rams organization, I like to see him have that same feeling.
Wow. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. We had a great time, and I'm gonna have to keep this.
Believe me, it was missing for 7 years, and man, one night I was at a jazz place, and this is an important thing about keeping your word.
Hmm.
There was a lady who we had gotten to know who was a jazz singer, and she was telling us it was going to be her last night at this particular place, and I said I come, and then we went out to dinner early on that night, me and my wife, and we were so tired and full. I said, but we promised we were going to go see her on her last night. And so when we got there, we made sure we waved and uh, let her know that we were there. And then as I was leaving out, a car pulls up beside me. He said, "How's the band in there?" I said, "Band is really good." Then he looked at me and said, "Are you Tyrone Keys?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Did you ever lose a Super Bowl ring?" I said, "Yeah, 7 years ago." He said, "I know where it's at."
What? Oh
I'm
my
like, "Oh
gosh.
my God, my goodness!" And so he ended up giving me the address. I ended up calling the police just to let them know that I was going to the place to get my ring because I filed a report many years ago. And the guy told me that a lady who was 90 years of age came in, found the ring in her husband's dresser drawer after he passed, and she took all his jewelry down there to sell it by the gram. But she really wanted everything burnt down, melted down. And he's like, "I ain't melting no Super Bowl ring now."
Yeah, not melting that.
But man, it was just like awesome, man, for him to. I mean, when I walked in there, he was showing it to the cops, and it was like my long lost child or something. I said, "That's my baby right there." That's my baby. But
Yeah.
for 7 years, man, I looked for it all one day, and then I never found it. But I was so entrenched on the calling that on my divine call that God had put in my life there that I just say, "Hey, man, I'm not even worried about materialistic things anymore." So, but it came full circle by me keeping my word to go see that. Keep my word, man. That's why I always tell people keep their word. So.
And that's a blessing, and I thank you for being able to sit down with me. And you said 7 years, so I think you can go another year.